Welcome back, ladies and germs.
Here with Mechanize and Trip.
It's October 27th, 8:47 in the PM.
We fucking do this.
So what's up, man?
Not much.
What you got today?
The question I had, right, and people call it all kinds of different things, but I was like, how much do you trust your gut? Or quote unquote intuition, or when the universe speaks to you?
Yes. This is actually a very good talk because, bro, I feel like we're on the same wavelength.
The same frequency for sure.
Very often because did we touch upon this? But I was thinking about this. Been thinking about it recently, and I feel, well, before we even get into it, but I've been feeling like not enough people listen to their gut. You know, it's almost like a lost science. You know, people's intuition is
It's funny that you mentioned science too, because there's so many schools of thought on it too. There's people that from I guess religiously, culturally, metaphysically, all different kinds of ways in which one would have to tune into one's intuition or one's vibration or whatever. And to your point, there's nobody that kind of there's a lot of people across all kinds of different everything kind of expand upon it, but there's nothing, like you mentioned, there's nothing baseline that I think of for the most part, because depending on who you encounter or who it is, they may or may not.
Well, especially in this day and age, where in the age of the mandate, you know, they like to, you know, there's orders being given left and right, right? And when there's orders being given, you must comply, correct? So when is there even a chance for you to go with your gut, to follow your own intuition? You can't, because you need to follow orders. So I feel like it's a lost art, a lost science, because of the way the system is in place.
And most importantly, I think they attack it because, like you just said, since most just comply and never question, it makes it so that you're not even open to it. Because bringing it all back to, at least from on my end of things, when I started to, because this is still something that I'm still building on, still working, still fine-tuning, refining even. What I've noticed is that as I started to kind of trust my gut more, and I don't mean on just, you know, the regular bullshits about, you know, whatever else. I'm just really me sitting down and thinking about anything. Most times the answers are apparent. You know, whether the universe communicates, that's why, you know, there's people that follow numerology. Like, I see numbers all the time, to the point where I'm like, do I have to fucking play the numbers? Do I have to give them?
Did you check it that night?
I've checked
$3.99 you told me.
$3.99, and since then it's been 664. Today was 4 6s.
Did you check the dailies?
I checked the dailies, and
it didn't win. It didn't hit.
No, oh no, some of those after the fact, right? Retroactively.
Well, yeah, that day you told me.
It's been a month, right? Since I started to track it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And going a month back, there's probably been 3 separate numbers that have hit.
Really?
When I look into the just regular, say if I use whatever search engine that I use to even reference it. Just to not mention no names, because they must subscribe, and that's another thing too. We don't do
everyone
for
needs
free.
To subscribe, okay?
For sure. Just, you know, I want to put that out there into the atmosphere as well. But to that point, as I started to see when I started also referencing the specific numbers, because I was like, well, maybe it's not they're giving me the numbers, because if it's the universe testing my integrity, I've noticed that when I play them for myself, I don't win shit. But if I give it to somebody else, they end up winning down the line. The other thing is that when now I reference them, and now so I'll use the search engine and be like, oh, well, maybe it's whatever you want to call it, sending me some kind of message that they have for me. And when I've looked into it, believe it or not, a lot of those, the reoccurring theme is trusting my inner wisdom, trusting my intuition. So that's why kind of really bulking up, and I would say just mainstreaming that as part of my mind, given that I mechanize everything with the mind, make it
nice.
I'm trying to make that nice,
nice.
Make that part of me nice as well.
Well, it's interesting that you said not just for, I mean, it could be used for anything, right? Your intuition. let's say I'm
Everything is
driving.
a reference point. The
And
way I see it.
you're driving and you're like, oh, you know, should I take this parking spot or should I keep looking a little closer?
Should I go around the fucking block again?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, it could
something
be
sketchy or.
it could be anything, or it could be something of like grave importance, right? Like if I don't cross the street, then some shit's gonna happen. Like if something's really telling you, then you should listen. You know, like you really should listen.
Or something doesn't sit right either.
Yes.
Like somebody else telling you what to do.
Yep. Like whatever feeling you get, it's important to at least
try to trust it. I would say.
Yeah, and like think about it. You know, decide whether or not it makes sense. You know, if it's a logical thing, and if it makes even a little bit of sense, maybe go with it. Maybe go with it. That's all we're saying here. Maybe go with it because.
Or at least look into it, be open to it, because I feel like just like anything else new in life, if you're not open to change, then you know what I mean, you're probably not the candidate for it. And who's to say that there isn't something trying to reach out to us if we're trying to reach out to it back?
I'm definitely I feel like there are messages in the world and they arrive.
It's funny you say that because there's been times where I'll trust my gut for whatever reason. I won't make a light. I've waited, and there's been times where me waiting on that will either make it. It's something from the is the full spectrum of things, like small little things where now you know some elderly woman is crossing. I remember one time making a right turn. I missed the light, and then I'm headed towards the Lincoln Tunnel, and then 2 blocks before that. I mean, I'm not really good with the streets. I just know how to get from A to B. If I use landmarks actually, you know. But to that point, I stood at that light. There was this old elderly woman who was then trying to, you know, jaywalk across like 8 lanes of traffic in the city, and nobody gave a fuck. And then what I ended up doing to keep her from getting hit was that she was now past my car, so I just blocked traffic and I went across diagonally. And everybody's like, "What the fuck?" But I kept that lady from getting blindsided and pretty much obliterated. So it's little shit like that.
I've seen that, like a dementia person, right?
Everything, yeah. It just seemed like she was just out of her wits. Like, you know, she.
I saw one elderly man walking in the middle of the street in his underwear one time, and it was like a busy street. So you know, it happens. That was nice of you to do that because most people don't give a shit about anything.
And I'll give you guys another jewel, and you know, and in return, all I want is just for you guys to subscribe. But I feel that you reach happiness, or you start to at least become happy, when you no longer focus on your own happiness. When you seek to make others happy.
Altruism, I love it. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's better to give than to receive. I mean. The golden rule. I mean, there's so many instances of this way of thinking that's important and beneficial for your own spiritual development.
The more I see it, the more I do good, the more I see good, the more I feel good, and the more I get better.
And good comes around, you know. Like now that we're speaking of wavelengths and energies, you know, what goes around comes around.
This times, and like I mentioned before, that my mom is 143 years old, so you know she's a pretty much like she's a bat, you know, joking around. I always give her some crap about the fact that you know she's up there with all the other biblical figures that lived centuries on the planet.
Methuselah.
Yeah, Methuselah. She actually doesn't appreciate that, but to that same point, if I see an elderly person, I'll try to look out. Not even for myself sometimes. I'll be like, oh, well, you know, maybe somebody will not want to run over my old lady. Or I got 4 sisters. I always make sure anytime I see a woman or a child in need, we're supposed to be protectors. And I feel like we forget that. We're supposed to take care of each other. We're supposed to look out for each other. Regardless of what the fuck you believe in. And we're better for it when we do.
We've all seen, like, you know, fucked up YouTube videos, this and that on your IG or whatever. I saw this one video. Speaking of such, about how it's important to give a fuck, right? I saw this one video. It was like this Chinese warehouse. It was in China, right? And it was like a warehouse, like a fish market. Super busy. there was like, you know, vehicles, there's people walking, there's like so, and there was this little kid, must have been 4 years old, just wandering, lost.
I think I've seen that video. It's kind of old, right?
It's a little old, almost like getting hit by a couple of like people, couple of things, and no one stopped to see if this kid was okay. You know,
Nobody cared.
Nobody cared.
And that's why it's fucked up because, like I said, given that people's humor is all different and everything, but sometimes, like I said, the more I make the conscious effort to not even. It's like that kind of stuff is not even funny to me no more. Believe it or not.
Oh no,
like,
it's infuriating, to be honest. I watched it, and I didn't know if I felt sad or mad or both. It was just like, and what happens in the video? I mean, you know, it doesn't seem like you got to watch the video, but like they fast forwarded, and it was like hours went by, and like no one even stopped to like even ask this kid, you know, who almost got run over like 10 times. No one even stopped to ask, like, you know, where's your parent? Where's, you know, nothing. Like,
to that point, there's been times where I've gone up to strangers and I'd be like, do you need me? Which is a powerful question because they don't expect it. They don't expect for another human being that they don't know, that doesn't have a vested interest in them specifically or whatever they're doing to even care. And I feel that most times when you do start to care, that becomes contagious because others start to see you care. They're like, oh, what the fuck? I'm trying to be like that cool guy over there that cares all of a sudden.
I think
I've seen it in practice even on the road. Sometimes I'll let one guy through. I'll start to see that they'll start letting 2-3 cars behind me. They let them merge too.
Sure.
Which eases the flow of traffic and makes us all safer anyway.
I feel like, you know, and I'm more of a glasses half empty type of person. I feel like by nature, people are selfish. Yeah. And you have to go out of your way.
You have to give that up. It has to be a conscious.
Like you have to it
has
has
a decision.
To be a
you have to make
effort.
that. Yeah.
It's an effort because we're wired to be selfish. You know, self-preservation, right? The most important thing is me looking out for me, right? Well, if you get out of that thinking, and that's the message we're trying to lay out there, is that you got to think about somebody else for a change, and then maybe in return, someone will think about you.
And most importantly, put it in practice because, like I said, a lot of the collective is lost. And then, since they divide us, that's why they attack the collective, and that's why they're able to abuse us because we're stronger when we're together. We're stronger united. We're stronger when we don't have to all think the same way. We can all be fucking different. But if we all fucking care about just being here,
do you imagine the wavelength that we would all be on at the same time?
We'd probably be floating. It'd be like the Jetsons, like
like that.
It would literally be like that. We wouldn't even need for fucking cars to fly because we would.
And look how we brought it back full circle. Speaking of full circles, that's how we started this conversation. That's how we're gonna end it. It's all about putting yourself out there, caring about someone else besides yourself. You know, helping somebody, doing something good. I mean.
And just even quick to reference the Power of 3, this will be the 3rd time I mentioned to make sure to bring it back also too and subscribe.
That's
we have to think it, say it, do it. Those are the 3 steps to achieving anything that's impossible in life. You have to think about it, you have to proclaim it, and then the easy part is just fucking doing it, bro.
If you subscribe, you would be...
Do it.
You'll get scribes of knowledge, okay? And all you have to do is subscribe to get that information, okay? Which is,
I like that play on words. Did you think?
I was thinking of something.
That was off the top right there.
I didn't know if it was gonna come out great.
I'm about to beatbox for this guy if I could. But I'm about to smack a box just because I can't.
But listen, we're spitting wisdom here. This is from the street. This is street wisdom, but it's also a collective of intellectual nuggets of goodness. So please subscribe. It's for your own good.
Do me that favor, please.
And that's how you would be paying it forward, by subscribing, right? We're helping you. You got to help us now. That's how it works.
Hey, Joseph.